All right, welcome to my FX Buddies, the podcast. And I say podcast because there's other ways to enjoy this content. But first, I'd like to say Happy Pi Day. Yeah, it is it just in America that we do this, or is it international? Because math is global, right? So it is, celebrating because it's March 4th and pi is 3.14 and a bunch of other numbers. So, yeah, so get yourself some pie today. All right. But, so it's been really slow. The past 2 days have been really slow. And I apologize if the sound is low. Remember the last podcast that I did, which was episode 41. This is episode 42. I don't know what the heck happened. Something happened. I don't know what. And I had to go in and do something but it doesn't sound the same. But I think I'm going to have to get new earbuds too. And maybe that's what it is. So I'm talking as loud as I can without screaming, and hopefully it's going to come out and you'll be able to hear. I did all my little mic checks and everything and the levels seem fine. So yeah, thank God I'm not a professional, right? Anyway, all right, so it's been 2 days. There's really still nothing exciting, especially today's Friday. Thursdays, they kind of taper down because they go into the holy day because their days start at sundown the night before. So when it's not Ramadan, Fridays are usually light news days. Now during Ramadan, it's even lighter, but they might surprise me tomorrow and have this major news dump. So I wanted to do this today just in case. And it's been 2 days. All right. So this will be a quick one because I do just want to point out. Let me do all the other stuff. Anywhere I post under my FX Buddies. And some of the places that I post, they syndicate, or I don't know what you call it, but they send it to other places. So if you have a particular podcast site that you like, go and see if my FX Buddies is there. But the regular places, Amazon Podcast, Apple Podcast, Rumble, all those, that I normally talk about, I'm there under my FX Buddies. And yeah. And what else? Did I tell you? Okay, if there's new people, let me see. I talk slow. So not only do I talk low, I talk slow. So most people have a this little gear thing here. And if you click on that, it says playback speed. And you can have normal or I like 1.75, but I'm a little different. A lot of people like 1.5. It's fast enough where it saves some time, but they can still understand and follow what I'm saying. So I just like to point that out every now and then for people. All right, so let's get back over here. So here's an article. This came out on the 13th because today, I already said Friday. Okay. Economists, markets will face a recession during Eid due to weak purchasing power. So I always like when they do articles talking about the purchasing power because that is what the people in Iraq, they're going to benefit by having increased purchasing power. We're going to turn in the 30 notes and get more dollars, right? And they're going to get more purchasing power. So I like that. Even though this isn't the CBI, it's an economic expert, Salah Nouri. He's talking about how because there's low income, low level employees and social welfare, they're probably not going to spend a lot because there's already weak purchasing power, right? Then he also talks about they think the dollar exchange rate will decline during the coming period because of there won't be that many purchases, right? And it's still about 1470, so it's been relatively stable. It's been between 1470 dinars per dollar to 1490 dinars per dollar. So yeah, it hasn't gone over 1500, but then it hasn't gone below 1470, which isn't what we want either, right? But anyway, so yeah, so that was nice. So these are the articles from the 13th. Here is Jamal Cougar, who's a member of the Parliamentary Finance Committee. Um, and he's saying privatization, excuse me, privatization is the optimal solution to fully collect taxes. So here's another thing is forward movement, right? He says right here, tax collection is a fundamental resource for the state or government, right? In all countries of the world, but its collection in Iraq remains very weak. Well, why? Because they haven't been taxed for 20 years. You've been telling them since 2018, if not earlier, that they're going to have more purchasing power, and you still haven't given it to them. So, no, you can't tax them. But they are taxing someone. Some people get taxed because they had an article not too long ago, maybe even in the 2024, saying how much their tax income had increased. So someone's getting taxed. But yeah. So you can read that. I mean, it's just more of there's an issue, we need to resolve it, but we all know what the resolution is, right? It's changing the rate. So here, I really like this picture. Look at these guys, whoever they are. They're just laughing and smiling like, ha, 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 we're gonna just make so much money, right? If you can see that, I don't know, a lot of you just listen, you don't see. But anyway, so the Kurdistan Region Investment Board opens the door to American investments, to more American investments. But see, this is Kurdistan, so they want direct relations, direct contracts, direct whatever with American companies because this fallacy of one Iraq does not exist, right? So, yeah, a statement from the consultant stated that the U.S. Consul General Steve Bittner met with Mohammed Shukri, chairman of the Kurdistan Region Investment Commission, to discuss priorities for attracting U.S. private sector activities to the Iraqi market and bringing more U.S. technology to the Kurdistan region. And I'm wondering, do they mean like fintech technology or working the oil? No, because it's not just oil, right? Yeah, American investments. So I don't know. I don't know what technology they're talking about, but whatever. So here we have e-commerce supports the national economy and startups. Now I like this article because they've been talking about supporting the national currency, right? We had all those articles where they were, instead of saying the dinar, they were saying national currency or the I don't like the national digital currency, but they're moving away from just saying dinar to national currency. And they are, I'm sure they probably would like more people shopping online. But yeah, this part right here, this system aims to establish a clear legal framework regulating online buying and selling. This decision is part of the government's efforts to foster a safe and regulated digital environment that supports electronic payments and guarantees the rights of all stakeholders. And I was talking about this with someone else, and I was like, they have a lot of open air markets Like, they just put the produce out daily, the spices, the nuts, the flowers, you know, not flowers like, oh, look how pretty flower. The flowers that you bake with, FLOURS, those type of flowers. Um, so I'm like, how are you gonna regulate that? But so, that's not e-commerce, right? But isn't everything e-commerce now when you pay with an electronic payment? I don't know. It's crazy. It's crazy trying to move to the future, right? But they're still stuck. They're still stuck in the current. But even those like open air marketplaces, they have point of sale machines. So, forgive me about that. Watch, they'll call back to me. No, I put the, anyway. Okay, so that's a pretty lengthy article. Well, it looks like it's lengthy, but it's not. But you could, I always say you could read this. You could read these articles. Um, But I know some people, everyone has a variety. Some people like certain articles. And let me just say, like I always do, the blog is free. You don't have to put your email in or anything. And the blog can be found at myfxbuddies.blogspot.com. And I know that's long, that's too much to type in. So wherever you are taking in this information, look for an open, more, info, intro, description type of button. Click on that button, and then another box will open, and there'll be a link directly to the blog. Okay, so yeah. All right. The Association of Private Banks organizes a dialogue session to discuss the latest developments in the banking sector in Iraq. So this was pretty interesting. Um, this guy right here, Wadi Al-Handal, he is the chairman of the Iraqi Private Banks Association. And I don't know if you remember, if you were listening, um, at the time, the private banks were the last banks to get on board with the new system. So here they are. I'm guessing if you read this, now this article, I think you should read because it's talking about they're getting daily fines. The banks that aren't on the new system because clearly they haven't met the qualifications, right? They're getting daily fines, they're deprived of using the dollar, and there's one other thing. So they are going through difficult circumstances, and he says, as everyone knows. So this meeting was pretty big. The governor of the CBI, he was there. See him there, Ali Alak. And he stressed measures related to banks barred from or he addressed these measures, not stressed. Measures related to banks barred from using the dollar, noting signs of optimism in discussions with the US side on this issue. So yeah, and then at here he says he told the whole crowd banks are required to work to increase the rate of financial inclusion by providing modern banking services that target broader segments of society. Well, they don't do that. They're the private banks. They focus on private banking customers, right? And generally, private banking, I mean, I aspire to be a private banking customer, right? Generally, they're the rich ones, right? So, yeah, I just thought that was interesting meeting to have. All right, here's my one commercial. Buy me a coffee. Yeah, because I'm going to drink that coffee while I eat my pie. But thank you to those who have and will, and that this is a link and that's the QR code. All right, so now here's the news for today. News that was, oh, okay. There's lots of stuff going on with Syria, right? Um, their ice cream land um, obliterated, okay, with a kablooey, a weapons depot. I hope I can say that word in Lebanon. But other than that, there hasn't been any kablooies going off, right? So things are relatively stable. But, well, except for in Iran, right? There 3 days now. I told you that person would comment. There are 3 nights, actually. The people, they go out at night to demonstrate because it's very dangerous in Iran. Iran is not part of the global game, so they have no qualms about violating human rights violations, getting those. So they will take out demonstrators and not have a second thought. So the fact that this has been going on for 3 days, I, I, to me, that shows there might be a change, right? There might be a change in the not a change in the regime sentiment, but I'm going to show you an article, and it's not just in the articles. I listen in on some programs that are connected to underground Christians, and they have cell phones and cameras, and they're there and they report back to these people, and it's bad. The people are disgruntled, right? Uh, but it's not. Um, anyway, it's so hard to talk here, right? Because you don't know, one doesn't know what one can say or cannot say. But anyway, yeah. Um, so I'm going to show you this other article that I was reading, and I've been reading, and I was like, oh my gosh, what if that's the holdup? What if our administration is like, hey, the people might take that country down, and we won't have to do it militarily, right? So I don't know, because something is, well, more than one something is the holdup, and they can't tell us what, but I really think they're trying to squeeze, which makes it harder. And it does, and it has a domino effect. It makes it harder for Iraq, but firstly, if that's a word, the the people who suffer are the Iranian people, right? And then we, well, our administration put more sanctions on Iran yesterday, the 13th. Um, they put sanctions on the oil minister. Even we put sanctions on a Singaporean country because we're claiming that they're buying Iranian oil. And, I hope they have proof of that if they're doing that, right? But anyway, all right, so those are just some things that are happening in the background. Okay, oops. Tehran. Electricity exports to Iraq continue. So far, the power has been on. And then this is saying electricity exports to Iraq will continue. And naturally, the priority is to provide electricity within the country. So it seems that because they have no problem saying, uh, "Oh, the power is out over here. It's going to be out for this amount of time." They'll report on that. Okay. Ooh, look at the time. I said this was going to be short. All right. Here, this article here was a big article. Yes, yesterday. They really wanted the people to see this, and it's not really a positive article. It says net foreign investment into Iraq declined by 48% and in the second quarter, because we're going into the second quarter. So that's a lot. That's a lot for a few months, right? But we know why. I mean, I think we can come up with a couple of reasons. The uncertainty in the global community because of tariffs and things like that, right? Um, the uncertainty of what's going to happen to business and things in Iraq as a domino effect of what we're doing to Iran. That's probably, and the contractors and businesses were like, they're not changing the rate. It's Ramadan. They're not going to do nothing during Ramadan. Let's pull out, take a breather for a minute, and see what happens in April. Probably after the delegation that's going to come here, right, to America. Probably after that trip, which I hope there's something different this year than last year, right? Okay, so yeah, so if you want to read, and look, it's just 3 sentences. It's a tiny little article, but it was everywhere. Okay, so this is one of those articles. Baghdad faces the challenge of balancing between Washington and Tehran. Is this the one? One of them, they talk about, they compare, here it is. In this context, Iraq finds itself between the hammer of American pressure and the anvil of the need to stabilize its relations with Iran. So see, and it kind of hit me yesterday. I was like, mm, it, well, because, Frank 26 has always said Iran was the problem, right? If you listen, because I used to listen to him before he got on YouTube when it was free conference call. Remember, he used to have those long free conference call calls. But he's always been adamant Iran is the problem. Iran is the problem. So it really, and I'm sure Iran is like, America's the problem. America's the problem. But anyway, so yeah, they're just talking about the challenges and how Saddam's been balancing it so far, right? All right, and here's about the budget. I think this is the last article. Oh no, almost. So not too much more. But matter of fact, I'll skip this one. I'm just gonna say it says Economist operating expenses and pensions are challenges that require strengthening the private sector. So this is an economist, and he's saying they need to strengthen the private sector, which, if you've been listening to me for a number of years, I've always said, as long as I've been in this, they've talked about strengthening the private sector as much as they've talked about changing the rate. So I think there's something that has to take place with the rate to strengthen the private sector. And this guy, it's Mustafa Hantoush, he says that even if oil got down to $50 per barrel, Iraq would be okay. So that was good. I'd like to see that. A politician warns of repercussions of Kazemi's return. He carries an American agenda. So if you remember, they brought back the previous prime minister, who's no longer in power, and he worked with our new president in the past. So now they're bringing, they're bringing him, he came back and he talked with all the people in Kurdistan. So yeah, but this part right here, I haven't seen. It says former Prime Minister, Kazemi represents the last American card for Iraq, as he has clear plans to create widespread chaos in Iraq by fueling demonstrations to destabilize the country's security and stability. So I haven't seen that. And he wasn't like that before. He was more like, he knew his time was limited, his powers were limited, but he did as much as he could, and he went out and about amongst people. He even, there were people striking, and he went and sat with them, literally sat on the ground with the people to hear their, I'm going to say complaints, for lack of a better word. So compare him to Sadar, who's like, yes, this Friday, 3 p.m., go to the parliament, we're going to demonstrate, right? So I haven't seen that. Yeah, so I thought that was interesting. But hey, you never know. Desperate times, right? Okay. So I this is the last article here. I just have two things I'm going to show you that I'm not going to post, but I will put links to them. So here is a member of the House of Representatives, and he's like, yeah, there is disagreements over the budget, but we are going to discuss it. We'll have it and we'll discuss it by the end of March. So, who knows if that's going to hold true, but at least they're putting a time out there that they'll get together because Ramadan goes through the end of March, but then immediately after Ramadan is the 3-day holiday. So I think maybe the 3-day holiday isn't as holy or whatever as Ramadan, and maybe they will get back to work because it's more like a celebration. Some some people compare it to our Christmas because it's a time to give gifts and things. And in years past or Ramadan's past, many people thought, oh, that's when they'll let it go because it's a gift and it'll be a gift to the people. And that would be nice. That's wishful thinking, but I don't know. So if you want to read that, that would be a good article to read. And then that catches you up to where we are for Thursday and Friday. But I wanted to share this. I thought this was interesting. This is on CoinGeek. It was there 2 days ago, I think. Oh no, it says 3/14 right here. See the date? So maybe it was. But look, Iraq Eyes CBDC launch and Ice Cream Land crafts a digital shekel design. So I'm thinking even in I mean, it is, CBDCs are a digital currency, so I could see why this website would cover it. But I just thought that was interesting and see how they're like, yes, it's a central bank digital currency, even though Iraq is trying to say no, it's a digital national currency. But anyway, we know what it is. We know the deal. So they're talking about Mohammed Saleh. And let me see. I think if I make that bigger, if you pause here, you could read it and you wouldn't have to go. But yeah, so but they just acknowledge the obvious. It's a way to reduce cash dependency. And this Saleh attempted to allay fears surrounding a CBDC launch, noting that users' privacy will be guaranteed under the system. But they go on to say Saleh did not reveal the exact guardrails for privacy protections, but pundits say the CBI will follow the lead of its peers in designing a CBDC. There is no privacy with the CBDC, and I think the people will know. So, there was something about the ecosystem. Here we go. While having the same functionalities as cash, the incoming CBDC will offer digital payment capabilities designed to improve Iraq's financial ecosystem. How about they get just their in real time ecosystem up and running, right? Then focus on that. But anyway, and see here it says Iran and Jordan. They have already done it. They've already taken the lead in development. So all the countries have them because eventually one day there's going to be one currency, right? Okay, so then you can read the, Ice Cream Land one if you want. So see, there's lots of little buzzwords in there that certain sites don't like. So that's why I don't want to post it to the blog. And then I think, is it this one? Here's the one about uh, maximum pressure, minimum options, potential pathways for Iran. So there he is, the ruler. Okay, so yeah, if you want to read this, because not a lot of places talk, not a lot websites, and you have to find special programs which no one's going to go out of their way to really find to read or listen or watch, right? Um, yeah. So yeah, just but here, see this mainly this paragraph right here. Iran is facing an escalating economic crisis. Inflation has remained persistently high, reaching over 35%. That's my phone. In recent years, while the Iranian rial has constantly lost value against the dollar, Iranians have been seeking to hedge their savings against the risk of currency devaluation by buying dollars and other currencies, gold, or cryptos. Youth unemployment hovers near 30%. Yeah, fueling widespread disillusionment. And that's not a good way to feel among Iran's predominantly young population. Disillusioned people, especially men, are, yeah, I'm just going to leave that alone. Anyway, the economic decline has triggered recurring protests since the 2017-28 demonstrations, with each new wave growing more explicitly. See that? Oh, shoot. I didn't mean to do that. But you see that more explicitly, and I'm not going to say that word right there. Oops. Okay. In character. So when I read that, I said, you know what? We might be waiting for the people to bring the country down so we don't have to do it. Anyway, all right. Oh, look at that. We're over 30 minutes, and I said it was going to be short. I apologize. But see, that's what happens when you squeeze 2 days into one, right? So, yeah. So, don't be surprised if I don't. So, like I said, I'm going to put links. I'll put a link to this article and a link to that CoinGeek at the very bottom of the blog. So, if you don't want to read the other articles, that's fine. Just scroll all the way down, and then you could get directly to those if you'd like. But thank you for listening. And it's the weekend. Yeah, it'll probably be slow, but like I said, you never know. All right, so I'm not even going to go there. I'm just going to sign out, accumulate while we wait for the rate to appreciate. Don't miss any meals and pay all your bills. If there's a like, join, subscribe, follow, some type of button in that nature, do whatever it takes to activate it because I don't post regularly, as you can tell. Um, Thank you to new subscribers. I really appreciate you. And yeah, so if you don't hear from me over the weekend, it's just because there was nothing worth posting. And I hope that you enjoy your weekend and eat some pie or learn about pie, right? Either way. All right. Thank you. And until next time.